you start changing your situation, your health, your finance, whatever, right? You have to understand, man, that it's not just going to be, happily ever forever after at that point. A lot of people think that when they start on their journey, whether it's health, whether it's their career, entrepreneurship, you think that once you have certain information and move toward that journey, that it's just smooth sailing, brothers. That's the absolute wrong mindset to have, man. So I'm giving you a heads up, brothers. You have to understand that your past is going to come see you. You think that a part of you that has been attached to you your whole life, the people in your old circle, the old circumstances, you think that world is just gone? Contraire, moon frere. That world is just circling back around, man. It's just getting momentum. It's just recalibrating to the new you, saying, let me come back around and see if he's about that life. Every single time, bro. But when the Bible says to seek ye first the kingdom, brother, I'm gonna tell you where a lot of people miss the bus on that. A lot of people think that, when it's referring to the kingdom, a lot of people think that, once I transition, once I leave this world, once I have a physical death, then I will be back in the midst of God. I will be in the kingdom, and I will have this ultimate peace and bliss. But what you have to understand, man, you have to understand that kingdom can be obtained now. Not only can be, has to be obtained first. That has to be man's first journey, is finding that kingdom. Because if not, brother, you will fall victim to this world, man. Find that state. Like when I say meditation, sleep, and death are all the same world. They're all the same world. It's just how deep you're submerged in it. The thing is, brother, you have to call that world your reality. You aren't praying. Your prayers cannot answer until you put boots on the ground, brother. Until you put boots on the ground. In other words, until you start the process of bridging the third dimension and the fifth dimension together, your prayers will not be answered, man. Even the Bible says faith without works is dead. Like everybody on the planet at this point has heard that in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But a lot of people are still stuck in their minds, man. A lot of people still can't make that transition to walking in that I am, man. You know what I understood too? What I come to find over the last At ease, brothers. Good to see y'all's face, man. It's been a hot minute, man. It's been a mini moon since your boy went live. But I believe this is something I want to start doing more often, man, because I want to start identifying people, man, groups of people, both men and women. I want to start identifying and speaking with people that are not just roaming this world, man, and talking about issues that are taking place. I want to talk to people, man, that are seeing issues that are composing solutions and putting things in order to make the world a different place. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's all about. It's like it's time over for us to just be getting online talking about issues. It's like, at what point in time are we going to start fixing it, man? So I want to hear about people's story. I want to hear about people's calls. I want to hear about people's solutions. And today, man, I'm honored to have two brothers, man. Two brothers that are dear to me, man. Two brothers that are members of the Power Circle, man. Two brothers that are doing magnificent things in life. Two brothers that are taking the knowledge that they're receiving from all different areas and putting together and moving in a direction so that they are leaving a footprint on this planet before they leave, man. That's what it's all about, man. So without further ado, man, today I want to really talk about the issues of manhood. Maybe some of the missing elements, some of the things men can do different, some of the things that men aren't doing that we should be doing, and really just go forward from there, man. So without further ado, man, I want to introduce, man, the founders of A Warrior's Way Home, Brother Edmund and Brother Travis. Good to have y'all brothers on with me today, man.
What's up, man?
Appreciate you, so. How you doing today?
Man, life is good, man. And I know it's Saturday, man, and I appreciate y'all, brothers carving out some time in your schedule, man. So
Sure.
you thank y'all for coming, man. I'm gonna say this, brothers. I love what y'all brothers are doing. And of course, we talk quite often, whether it's call, whether it's text, whether it's every week in the power circle. But first thing I want to say, man, is I'm extremely proud of y'all brothers, man. I'm extremely proud of y'all brothers, man, for going across that threshold that the far majority of men won't cross. You know what I'm saying? We sit there and talk about certain issues. Y'all brothers have identified certain things that has a stronghold on manhood. And it's not like y'all just raised the red flag and said, hey, this is the issue. You brothers put some things together, to help manhood. Y'all brothers are putting events together, pages together. So just starting off, brothers, tell me in general, tell me a little bit about what A Warrior's Way Home is.
So A Warrior's Way Home, our mission is to guide men into tapping back into the warrior mindset of manhood through some key principles. Both Edmund and I are martial artists, so there's some principles called the Bushido, and it teaches 8 principles of the way of a samurai, the way they used to live. Including honor, integrity, courage, benevolence. So, actually caring for people. Like I said, integrity is a key one. Honor is a huge one. We say we teach honorable masculinity. It's much different than the, just high value man, different things like that. But a man should be honorable first and foremost before anything else, because a guy could have $1 billion, but if he's not moving with honor, is like, at the end of his life, he kind of moves in a reckless kind of way.
I heard there was I listened to another podcast the other day that was basically like, for those who are moving out of that red pill space and kind of like trying to get out of that alpha male, feeling like that's what they have to be, what is that next step? And I think you've spoken about it and kind of during your journey as well, where once you started to move out of red pill and started to evolve, it was like, what was that next step? And we believe that next step is trying to have some type of personal honor or code that you live by, so that you can just move as an individual throughout this world, not so much about what society wants you to do or what you think you should be doing. There's multiple different ways of just the mountain of life in general. So it's like, how are you going to approach things? You can take pieces from all your influences, but how do you make it yours? And we want to help men do that.
Your path.
Thanks. I like that, man. I love the mission statement, man, which I heard you say a while ago, man, where it's, guiding men back into that warrior mindset of manhood. Let me ask y'all this, man. And I'll ask you first, Brother Edmund. What do you think it was that took men out of this mindset?
It's a shift, right? Because our older generations, we have some brothers in the circle that we've had this kind of conversation before, where we have that old school mentality and things are just kind of shifting in a way where I don't think a lot of people expected it to. Women are being more empowered, which is a beautiful thing, but they feel like they're having to do it in spite of men, or kind of I can also do this thing. They've been having so many limitations put on them, and also just men in general, because if you're not that top 10 or 1%, let's say, you feel like you have a lot of expectations to get to that point, because otherwise you can't support your family, or you can't have some type of success unless you have 6 zeros behind a number. It's really trying to figure out, what is this for me? And I think that having those strong male influences in our lives are very important, but we need to remember that we are raising people to be their own individuals, not so much copy and paste, follow what I did, because then you'll have generations of, if you're successful, maybe a family full of lawyers or doctors or something like that. What if everybody doesn't have access to those resources to be able to make what we consider to be the highest paying jobs, either in America or just in the world? Are we just going to have to be a family full of janitors?
Yeah.
Is there an honorable way to do that?
Yeah. So, I think, my bad, brother. I think what you said, something is crucial. I think one thing that took a lot of men out of that mindset is something you said. Like, I think a lot of men are competing with an imaginary man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that a man shouldn't swing for the fence. I'm not saying a man shouldn't be fit, shouldn't be 6 figures, shouldn't be millionaire, shouldn't be driving. I'm not saying a man shouldn't be going toward that.
Yeah.
But I think that there is just an imaginary man. And Travis, you said it a second ago, that this high value man that society, whoever built this man, put him on a pedestal. And now every man is trying to hit this home run that really never more than 4 to 5% of any population at any point in time ever hit it. So I think it is good men should strive for that, get close to that as possible that you can. But I think that if a lot of men don't hit that, they just back down and think they're less than. They even present themselves as less than to women. And I think it's just one of the many elements that's making men lose that warrior mindset. What about you, Travis? What do you think? What would you think one or two things is that's causing men to even step away from that warrior mind?
So I think a big piece of what we're talking about right now is the fact that a lot of people, especially in America, from what I've seen, have not seen how a man moves in the household for generations. So when you don't have that in the household, you start searching for it. And a lot of people will, instead of, oh, dad was here and he, watched over us. He made sure that, we were good. Yeah, he went to work every day and worked hard and everything like that. But he made sure everything was handled. When we got out of line with mom, he stepped in. A lot of people have not had that. So if you don't, I talk from personal experience. I had dad, stepdad, but neither one of them I could really say fill that father role with me for a long portion. And by the time when I really needed it, when I was heading into those teenage years, my mom had gotten a divorce. I was kind of on the outs with my dad. He wasn't really around. So I ended up being raised by mostly women. Now, my mom was a soldier, so it was a totally different kind of thing. But, it says this way, but we kind of got to be careful. No woman can raise a man. You can't. A woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. No, she could be the most, boss chick, gung ho, G.I. Jane, whatever it may be. But no woman can train a boy to become a man. And just like that, at the same time, there's certain things that men add to their daughters as well, teaching them what they should expect from a man, because a lot of women are looking for things that they've never seen before.
What to look out for?
Yeah, they've never had a dad at home. Mom didn't, mom maybe had boyfriends or different things like that, but their dad a lot of times weren't in the household. So when you don't have that picture of what it should look like in front of you, you go searching out here for what it supposedly should look like, either on social media, TV. And if you're on TV and you're seeing the athlete, the rapper, all these different things like that, you start thinking, okay, money is what I'm supposed to be looking for. Guys and women. It's like, okay, money is what makes a man. No, it's like you have to have that stability at home first. And when the father was removed from the household in a lot of cases in the US, I think that was that was the key factor that really set us up to where we are right now. Because before, dads were in home. You talk about it on your channel, where when you were growing up, there was maybe one kid in your neighborhood who didn't have a dad at home. But everybody else moved a certain way. When you were out in the streets, you didn't do certain things because you had to deal with dad when you got home.
I heard this thing yesterday that was like, success doesn't equal leadership. And it's that leadership element that we often miss in the household, because, and even if you have parents that were together, like the nuclear family, everybody's still working because they're trying to make it happen in America. So it's like, it's not like they're always having that. You don't have helicopter papas for sure. You don't have, moms that are staying at home to be able to teach the kids whatever might be missing. And school is not a place where we are. I mean, we have home ec and shop and things like that, but those are hard skills. We don't have the necessary mental skills that should be taught anywhere. And that's the things you're supposed to be getting from the parents, So
I think that's huge, man. I think, and when I say, I'll say it like this. Like, I think the whole single mother epidemic definitely had an effect on me, on the way men are today. But when I say that, I'm not even saying it as like pointing blame at single mothers, because some mothers are losing husbands due to they're dying, so they're raising. But I'll say this, and you said it on, you hit it on the head, man. Even a woman in the best mentality, that's the best mother, she still can't raise a son to be a man, even if she's doing everything right, because it's not in her. A lot of women can do a lot better than some, but there's still going to be elements that I believe every man is going to be looking for in those latter teen years. And like you said, he's going to be reaching for somewhere. And you got to think about once he reaches outside the home looking for it, You have to look at everything that our young men are being presented, man. It's like it's out the music, of course. Like when you're, in my opinion, when you're 16, 17, 18, you're not really in the right mindset to hear trap music all the time and understand that, hey, this is entertainment. It's telling you how to live. It's telling you how to operate. When you see the trap boys on the block, that's going to be the highest form of masculinity you see. So a lot of guys are going toward that, right? But I think that it could change if society pointed the finger at the men that are doing it right and the men that are trying to be there for those guys. Like, for example, just the stigma is that, hey, you know what? Men don't take care of their kids. Men are deadbeat fathers. Out of all the brothers that I know personally, whether they're in the power circle, whether just friends, I don't know any deadbeat fathers. I just don't know any. So I believe that if we just start pointing the finger at, hey, you know what? There are men that are good fathers, even though they might have been divorced, they're still there. Or there are men that are mentoring to younger men, kind of like what you guys are doing. You guys are putting something in place for every man to come and get this information he's missing. Because I'll tell you this, man, one of the hardest things I went through, and this is one of the reasons why I talk about what I talk about, why I do what I do. One of the hardest things for a man to deal with is to go from between 20 years old and 40 years old, and there's a whole lot of information he's not getting, and he understands there is something he's not getting. So I think what y'all are doing is amazing, man. Y'all are bridging that gap. Y'all are saying, hey, man, you know what? We understand that the world is doing what it's doing, but hey, you know what? We have things in place. We have programs in place. We have mentorship in place. We have events in place. We have YouTube channels in place to mitigate this, a lot of the stuff we're dealing with. I want to ask you this something, Travis. I heard you say on one of your videos, you said your ego is making you weak. Elaborate on that, brother. That's a heavy statement.
I think for me personally, I've realized that there are times when my ego made me not ask for help was one of the biggest things, because that's, like I said, it's one thing that I never really saw a guy ask for help. Is like, I never really saw, my stepdad or, move like that. He was probably the one I was around the most. I never saw that. Even when it was times when he really probably should have, like stuff he didn't know that he could have, if he had just asked, it would have been real quick. He would have got the answer, and it would have saved him a lot of time and a lot of times a lot of money, unfortunately. But I never saw guys do that. It was always just like, I'll figure it out. What
do you think it is in a man that makes, what do you think that is in a man that makes him like that?
I think a lot of times it's fear. I think a lot of times it's fear and insecurity. If I tell you that I don't know something, then I have to admit to you that there's, that if I have to ask you for help, then I have to admit to you that I don't know something. If I have to ask you like, hey, so, man, I don't know anything about credit, bro. Is that I don't know anything about credit. My credit score is trash. I keep bouncing checks. Man, I was never taught this thing. Then I have to admit to you that there's something I didn't know. And I think a lot of guys, that ego kicks in and says, I don't want to not necessarily humble myself, but almost kind of lower myself enough to actually ask you for help. Because if I ask you for help, that means that to me, in my mind, that means that you're up here and you're better than me. In a lot of cases, I think a lot of guys think that way.
It goes back to that competitive mindset, like you were saying.
Yeah. And
and I think it's something inside of us, because even hearing you say that, it was reflecting on me, and I think there's a bit of that, a huge chunk of that in all of us. I think that a part of that is what makes us men, but we have to understand that if we don't come out of that and ask for help or ask for guidance or information when we need to, it can get real ugly, real bad, man. And I think a lot of us as men will ride that, I'll call it pride, that pride to the death. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at some statistics a few days ago, and it said that 800,000 people commit suicide annually. And then it said 75 to 80% of that are men. And I was thinking, man, like between now and from the time I was probably in middle school, I probably had 6 or 7 friends of mine whose father deleted themselves. And that's just me and the people I know, man. So it's a real thing. And I think what you said when you're talking about that ego, I think that ego is a lot of why men get to that dark spot. I've personally been in that dark spot, man, and until I got there, I didn't really understand what a man was going through. Like a lot, like when I was younger, I remember when that would happen, man. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, that man's a coward. That man is this." So that's what I bought. I said, "I mean, these men are just copping out on life." But once I hit that bottom, I understand what a man is thinking now when he's there. He's not. It's not a coward. He's not run. He's just simply tired of playing the game of life.
Yeah.
He's simply tired of playing the game of life. And I think that one of the reasons why we as men get there is because we're built to always give the kids, give the wife, give the family, give. And once if we get to the point where we're never receiving, man, that tank gets low. And when we do need advice, like you said, Brother Travis, and nobody's there, nobody's in our corner, it's like, man, it's a dark place.
Yeah.
It's a dark place, man. So I believe mental health plays a huge part. What were you saying, brother?
I said, who's asking too? That's the other thing. Is like, how many people ask dudes like, more than like, hey man, how you doing? It's like, I'm good. And the people are just like, okay, cool. It's like, they don't take time to be like, but man, how's life going? It's like, how things
doubling back to be like, are you really
are
okay?
You really good?
Yeah.
It's like, how it's like, I saw you the other day. You looked a little, man, you good? You good?
Yeah. And now I'm not saying I'm some expert, but I can kind of hear when brothers are in that spot, man. That's why I think, and I'll say the word circles. I think circles are important, even if it's just 2 or 3 men that are meeting at the stop sign on the Saturdays, having a cold drink, just talking, bro. That is important because there are certain things that us as men we have to contain. Like there are certain parts of ourselves, us standing in this frame. Certain things you don't talk outside of yourself with anybody. You can only talk about certain things with a man. And I'm gonna tell you this, bro. I went the majority of my life, really up until about 3 years ago, before we really started the Power Circle. That was my demeanor. Solo, do everything. Like if you need help, keep it in. Find a way to do it. And I love that part about myself. But man, once I started, bumping ideas off of other men, getting ideas, figuring out ways to get out of the mud, I had no idea how important it was, man. So I want to ask y'all this, man. Well, how important? Because I know y'all's relationship, man, y'all's friendship, started within the last couple of years. How important is it? How important do y'all think it is, man, for men to have those circles? Or what are some of the benefits of a man having those shoulders, those elbows to rub up against, man?
Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with my dad about a year ago, maybe a little more, about something that I considered our family curse, let's call it. And I called it the curse of independence, because I had watched everybody around me do it by themselves or have some type of barrier that wouldn't let them be able to reach out to somebody else. And then the resolution we came up with is that true independence is being able to ask for that help without being prompted, without somebody having to poke and be like, hey man, you good? You like, what can I get for you? It's like, no, man, I can just come up to you and be like, so I need help with this thing. That's true strength, is being able to ask, but you need to first build a community of which people you feel comfortable asking. You're not going to get that at the job all the time, because there's always that like kind of competitive nature there. You may not get it with, let's talk about where you can get it. I think you can get it from sports teams. I think you can get it from, some people can, like, I don't know, Cub Scouts or something where it's like a place where you have to meet to be able to build that martial arts. I kind of count that with teams, because like you when you go to a dojo or a gym, you have the teachers who will be able to teach you the individual arts, and then you have your classmates which you can practice that stuff with. And because, funny enough, you would be surprised how this is the way that men kind of connect sometimes, is through that visceral, that combat, that dance of combat a little bit, because you're learning how to protect yourself. You're learning how to strengthen your resolve, mind, body, and spirit. And you're doing that alongside other people who want the exact same thing. So that's, to me, that's where I found it. That was the ultimate arena for me to be able to go in there and not only cut my teeth, but figure out who could I depend on? Who's going to let me, who's going to feel safe enough with me for me to be able to try this deadly thing, and for them to let them do the same thing to me. That's the quickest way to be able to do that. That's why we always say, go to boxing gyms, go to kickboxing gyms, karate, judo, whatever it's got to be. But find a martial art, find some type of self-defense that will help you get there a little faster. because it's built in. It's baked into how the actual structure is. And it doesn't have to be combat. It can be basketball, football, hell, hockey, whatever it is that's a team sport that forces you to be in that circle of we're a team, we're headed towards a common goal. And even if it doesn't go past the court or if it doesn't go past the season, at least I can go back and say, this was a spot where I felt like I was a part of something that was bigger than me. It will check my ego, it will make me strong, and it will let me hopefully pass on that knowledge to somebody else.
I think, man, that's huge, bro. I think in one thing you said, I think the vulnerability part of that, man, has a lot, like really having a circle or a group of men that you can really trust like that. And just the way, again, the way we're built, man, the things that make us men, that sometimes it fights against that. But I believe that vulnerability part is huge. And I'll use an example for myself, man. I have a good friend, one of my best friends I grew up with, man, Lane, man. One day Lane was over here hanging out. And when we were together, man, we always talk about our sons. I talk about my son. He talks about his son. And he was just explaining a scenario with him and his son. Something took place in the way he was talking. And when I heard Lane say that, and Lane's a year or two younger than me, when I heard him say, when he told me the scenario, I was like, bro, that's something simple, but that's wild. The way you handle that is wild to me. And I understood then. I said a lot of men a lot of men that had fathers in their life growing up, like my friend Lane, I said they have no idea the knowledge they have as far as even being a father, being a man, that a man that didn't have it is going through. There's a night and day theme, man. For a man to grow up, teenage years, go 20, go 30, and never have a father, there are so many simple elements of being a man on how to handle things that a man just doesn't understand. So I believe being vulnerable is huge. Even before I really understood it was a thing, going back to when I was in my early 20s, one of my good friends in the military, he was a year or two younger than me, John Lamax. And without even knowing it, I kind of just learned about manhood from him. Just hanging around him, working on cars and seeing him interact with his young kid and his wife. I was picking up nuggets. So I think vulnerability is a huge part of that, man. What say you, Travis?
I definitely agree with the vulnerability part. That even just in our friendship and business and everything like that, that was a challenge for me when it was first, really kicking off. Because when you say you used to roll solo, lone wolf style, I was like, I totally can identify with that, because that's just how I've always been. It was, and honestly, if I really think about it, it was a message that was kind of instilled in me early, that if you got to worry about you. It's like to just be real about it, is like most people don't give a shit about you, so you got to give a shit about you. It's like, so you got to roll. If something needs to get done for you, you got to go do it, because nobody's going to ask, nobody's going to come check on you, see how you're doing. That's not the way the world works. So you got to do it. You got to, if you got problems and got issues, it's like, you don't tell anybody, because people don't care about it. They're dealing with their own shit. It's like, so you got to deal with yours. It's up to you. So I didn't really have a lot of that. I had some of it in martial arts. That's one thing where I did see that. And I totally agree with the team part of it, because it's a big reason why we started this, is because we were talking, it's like, man, some of the realest conversations I've had with guys, some of the most vulnerable moments I've seen with guys have been on the mat after a workout, after a session of just like 2 hours, just beating the shit out of each other. This is like,
let me open up about my marriage. Let me figure out if you have any good ideas about something. And it's like after.
They're all sitting down, and man, you hear start talking about the childhood, start talking about the issues, like I said, the issue with their marriage, their kids, their dad, different things like that. A lot of times it starts surface level, but man, it's like those barriers come down.
You get the frustration.
I would say it's I've seen a lot with the military too, because I'm an Army brat. It's like, guys who went to combat together, the bond they have after they come back with that is just wild. It's dramatic. The bond you get to see the way they move. He's like, there's something different about these guys' relationship. It's like, just because the stuff they've been through together, it's like that. That bond they were able to build where it was one of those things when you've had bullets flying at you, it's a lot easier for me to tell you that I had an argument with my wife last night.
Yeah.
It's not that hard at that point. It's like, we've been through the shit, bro. It's like, I can tell you this.
Yeah.
It's like, compared to that, this isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys don't have that. And until really I got into the circle, I never really, and here's the thing, I never really saw how that moved on a scale outside of the dojo. I thought that was just like, okay, that's strictly sports thing, that's great, but I'm not always there. I'm not always in that setting.
Yeah. And
even with those relationships we built there, I wasn't really taking that into my life. That they weren't people I talked to on a daily basis. They weren't people I talked to, when I had issues in relationships or when I was going through, my issues with depression and suicide. I didn't bring that to the dojo.
Man, wait till you travel with a team, go to another state or international with people that you've trained with. That's a good feeling, because if they ask you, when I went to Japan last year, one of the junior students, you wouldn't look at him. If you look at him, he wouldn't be a junior, but his age level, he asked one of the professional fighters to be his corner. If you would have saw the way he lit up, because he already knows what he's capable of. They've already backed each other on multiple occasions. But to say, I want you in my corner when I step over here, and I'm going to do this thing, and even though you can't come in to help, I know you're behind me. That gives me that much more power to do what I got to do when I get in there. It's beautiful.
It's something wild that happens when men get together and have a like mission. And I say that because I remember when I finished basic training and went to my schooling, in the military. I remember having a knockout drag out with a guy, man. He painted a racial statement on my door, and me and him had it out in front of a movie theater, and our drills forced us to be in a room together. They made us roommates, man. And me and him got to talking. And he was like, "Man, country guy from Tennessee." He said, "Man, I didn't see a black man until I was 12 years old, right?" And I was like, "Wow." So we kind of just started identifying with each other. Long story short, fast forward a couple of years later, him and I went to the same duty station twice and ended up going to war together. And I'm gonna tell you, when we came out that battlefield, like you said, bro, me and Ray were like this, man. So it's wild when men come together and have a like-minded mission. It eliminates a lot of that ego. It eliminates a lot of that prior knowledge, man. It's huge, and I think a lot of men underestimate it. To be honest, even when I understood the power of it, which I call it the third marriage of man, I'm still really just now understanding the power of it. And if y'all know in the power circle, we had the challenge this week, man, and I understood the energy that was taking place. I was like, Eureka, this is it. I had a whole new understanding of a lot of things. Let me say something real quick, man.
Sure.
Just to those that are watching, I just want to make a note that today is the last day to come into the power circle at the rate that it's currently at tonight at midnight. Yep, tonight at midnight, it will be going from $49.97 to $79.97. So just keep in mind, a lot of guys have inquired about the power circle over the last weeks, days, months, even year. A lot of men have come in, but now is a good time to come in, man. It's not only what we're doing, but with what the rate is. The rate is definitely going up. So having said that, let me take a quick 60-second break, brothers.
Thing number 7 that men do to ruin their lives is that they don't keep a brotherhood of like-minded men around them. They don't have a band of brothers. They are not part of a tribe. The thing that men do that really ruins their life is that they live like an island. You act like a lone wolf. You are not meant to be a lone wolf. You are not meant to be an island. You are meant to find like-minded dudes who share your core values. Because if you're like, dude, these are my core values, these are my non-negotiables, this is how I roll in life. I'm an extreme, unreasonable, impatient motherfucker that wants to make a lot of money, be fit and jacked, be self-actualized and self-disciplined, and do a lot of good for humanity. And I find other dudes like that to connect with. That's my tribe. That's my band of brothers. That is the brotherhood that I belong to.
But I want to talk about something real quick, man, because I think a lot of what we've gotten away from is really what the identity of a man is, man. And I think overall, as a society of men, we're coming back to it. But I think it's hard to identify what a man is supposed to be, because if a lot of us grew up, in the whole Nickelodeon, Disney, whatever other era. Women were growing up in the Lifetime, whatever era, and now it's like a lot of men are being raised, being brought up, being brainwashed to think that it's all about everyone else's happiness. Like we've turned men into mules. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that men aren't supposed to be the protectors and providers and the strongholds and the creators and the builders. We're supposed to do that. But I think a lot of men have relinquished their own selves and put that essence into the world. And that's why a lot of men are just roaming around depleted. So I think I want to talk about really what do y'all think the characteristics of a man should be, something that that's not really incorporated or talked about today. What are some elements of manhood do y'all think are missing?
Personally, I think a man should be his own sovereign. He needs to have a level of autonomy to be able to move about this world like we say that we should. And that's a thing that I feel like doesn't have the chance to express itself really, because we're under a lot of pressure. We're under a lot of pressure because this is the way I think about a king. He's not the most powerful person in charge. He's the person that is kind of in service to the most people because he should have that level of control. He's a servant leader. And I think we get caught up a lot about the servant part, but we don't give men the chance to have that leadership part. It's great that women are CEOs and executives and everything like that. I want that for them, but there's still a level of not command's the wrong word, but there's still a level of control that a man has to have of himself and everybody who he brings around him. And I feel like we're not separating the two. Having a man in charge feels like the wrong move because we're about equality, but it's not about controlling everybody else. It's about controlling yourself and just delegating things that people can do because you have that greater mission. You can move towards it and you have that mission of this is how we can all get along and be able to do that. But not everybody wants to follow that man because he has that or he should have that ultimate control of himself, mind, body, spirit. But it's like, but I don't want to be under that level of control. You want him to have it. You want him to be able to delegate these things, but I don't want to have that myself. So it's a paradox a little bit, I think. Does that make sense?
One thing I think that's missing, and I think it's being corrected. I know it's being corrected. One thing I think that's missing, at least in men like my age, I'm 47 years old, and I believe I was at the very beginning of this whole era of where men are growing up in single households and all that, man. But one thing I think is missing in men my age is that priority of identity and purpose. I was listening to a guy on a podcast the other day. I wish I would have saved it, where he was talking about, hey man, when we were young, I'm talking about Dana elementary, middle school, all the men in our lives were just pushing women down our throats. Like, who's your girlfriend? Who's your girlfriend? It was almost like by the time I got into 7th grade, it was like, man, I'm supposed to have a woman on my shoulder in middle school. Yep. So that was my whole mindset growing up. It's like, even in high school, if I don't have a girlfriend, something's wrong. When I come out of high school, if I'm not trying to get married, something's wrong. And I think that mentality robbed a lot of men my age of really finding that identity and that purpose. So we lived our whole lives chasing women because we were trained to. Like there are some men right now, man, that don't have life figured out, that are dangling up under a bridge and are still running after all the women. And it's not that they have lust issues. Like, a lot of people don't understand that's how we were raised. But when I say I think it's correcting itself, I look at like the younger generation, like I'll say 25 and below. They move completely different. Like 27, 25-year-old men, of course they date, but it's not a priority. When you 21-year-old men, like the 18-year-old men now, bro, they are laser focused. Like my son is laser focused. And I think that's something that we as men were robbed from in our youth. And a lot of us men get it back. A lot of men understand. A lot of men can hit 35 years old and look back and say, you know what? The last 10 years, man, all I've been thinking about was dating. Now my pocket's fine, my life is funny. Let me go into monk mode and reset this thing. I believe if a man doesn't reset that, he's gonna be in a bind, man.
Mm-hmm.
Your son's 16, right?
Go ahead, brother.
You said your son's 16, right?
Yeah, 17.
So I had a conversation with one of the juniors at the dojo just this week, 15 years old, enjoying summer break. I was like, hey, how's things going? And he was like, oh, well, I got a girlfriend, but I want to focus on weights and school and some other stuff. And I'm like, I'm looking at him like he got horns now. Cause I'm like, that's so foreign to me at 15 years old. What was I doing at 15? Worrying about my social status. Trying to, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to fit in with the understanding of I don't fit in. Mm-hmm. But I didn't have the structure of, because I had my dad, but I didn't have the structure of focus on yourself only. It was all about school and all that other kind of stuff, but it wasn't about like personal development necessarily.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues men have now is that self-reflection. Is that self-reflection, because I think a lot of us we're moving out here and we're doing things, but we don't know who we actually are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I actually had somebody really close to me. He was in his 60s at the time. We were sitting down at a bar, and shit got real. I mean, he just told me, he's like, he said, the thing I've done the majority of my life was chase my dick. He's like, and you could see this moment in him when he was talking, where he realized that he hadn't lived up to his full potential. Mm. That he hadn't lived up to his full potential and his responsibility with his family, with his kids, or to himself. It's like that he spent so much time trying to fill this void, whatever this void was that he had in himself, with women, with with money, with these different things and these different items, instead of actually taking the time to work on himself and fill up that hole, with him, actually build himself up to to shrink that piece of him down, not to where he didn't feel so empty inside. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of guys are moving in this world right now as empty husks. They're trying to fill themselves up with things, with cars, with money, with women, with trying to prove themselves in bars and these different things like that, trying to prove that they're tough or that they're high value or that they're this or they're that. And I think a lot of guys are moving around as empty husks, and that's why we have a lot of issues that we have, because I don't think we're actually filling ourselves up. I think if a guy actually took the time, which, like you said, a lot of these younger guys are doing, they're actually looking for this, and I think a big piece of it is the fact that the internet's so available now, to where they can see all this, if they have access to this information. Because I'll be real, it's like when I was growing up, I didn't have access to. We had dial-up by the time I was in high school. This is like, so there wasn't this access to these things of somebody saying, hey man, you need to work on yourself. Mm-hmm. Hey, you're feeling this way. You're not the only one that feels like you don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. You're not the only one that feels like you don't belong. You're not the only one that feels like you're in a room full of people and you feel like you're a ghost. You're not the only one that feels like this. This is what you need to work on. This, focus on yourself. Mm-hmm. Focus on this.
Let me ask you this. You hit nuggets, man. You drop nuggets. And I think you're dead on when you said a lot of men don't have that fulfillment. So what men are doing is, hey, let me get a certain chick. If I can get a big enough whip, if I can get a big enough crib, if I can get a shiny enough neck, if I can get this, I'll get fulfillment. And what every single man understands once he obtains those things is that it is empty. So what would you say, either one of y'all brothers, what would y'all say that thing is that gives a man fulfillment?
Purpose. Having a mission, having something that what did Nietzsche call it? Will to power. Mm-hmm. It's that ability to go out and attract the thing that you ultimately want to do, figuring out who you are as an individual. Because that's the thing, man. If we remove the women and the whatever the accolade thing is, if all we had to do was sit on a mountain all day, mm-hmm. what would you do then? If that was the only thing you had to do. And then all you would do is talk to yourself and figure out, who am I? Like you say, who am I? Where am I going? I like to say also what my truth is. I believe that's in your book. Those three things are the most important. Before you do anything else, you should figure out what type of mission do you actually want to lead, because you are supposed to be a leader. And now that was something that took a long time for me to accept, because I felt like I was on the outskirts for so long. I was more self-serving than anything. I would do acts of kindness and stuff like that, but that's just how I was taught. I was taught that, yeah, you should be looking out for other people to a certain extent, maybe having that empathy. And I'm starting to understand that compassion is more important than empathy. But you don't have to fix people. You can just kind of scoot them along, help them get to that, help them pick them up if they need to, maybe give them an extra $1 so they can go get a sandwich or a bottle of water. But ultimately, you need to be figuring out what you're trying to do. And while you're on this path, you can give not a handout, but you can give assistance eventually. But you need to figure out, where are you going first? What is your ultimate, why you want to be here? Because if you can't figure that out, you will spin your wheels and just be giving.
I think honestly, that's the foundation. Is like even before purpose. Because if you try and search for your purpose, but you don't know who you are and why you feel like you're here, the purpose that you're just gonna start doing stuff. Is that you're gonna go start heading down these paths.
You'll do stuff other people tell you to do.
You'll be like, oh well, this career is why I'm here, or this this is why I'm here, and you start going down this path and get down this path and figure out that that's not what you actually wanted in this life. Because you didn't actually take the time to actually, sit with you. And a lot of guys, especially, I think women are much better at this than us, if I'm gonna be real about it, of figuring out who they are. I think it's almost, I think at times because they because they talk to themselves and talk to each other so much, I think they have a much easier time figuring out who they are. I don't think a lot of guys know. I didn't. I can 100% say I did not know who I was probably until I was into my 20s.
Yeah,
that's
good, to be honest.
When I started to figure it out, and it was just where like pieces started to to really. It's like, oh, it's like, okay, it's like that's why I move the way I move. It's like that's why this thing is important to me. That's why I can't just let this situation happen in front of me, and I feel like I got to do something about it because that's in me. Is like that's a part of my building up your foundation. I think before you can build anything else, you gotta level out the ground and build your foundation. So finding purpose is great, but if you put your purpose on a shaky foundation, it's all gonna fall apart.
Facts.
So finding out who you are, why you're here, and what that means to you is number one. Is like, because I'll say this is like I didn't even figure out until this year, to be real about it. So I really sat down and one day it hit me as like I for most of my life have been trying to justify my existence to the world. It's like, and I realized I was like, I got nothing to justify. I got nothing to prove to this world, because just the fact that I'm here shows that I'm worthy of it. Just the fact I mean, there is 100 billion sperm that comes out when an egg gets pregnant. The fact that I was the fastest one, that I'm here right now, the fact that my mother and my father met in the way that they did to create me shows that I was worthy enough to make it here. I got nothing else to prove to this world. Everything else now is extra.
You know, one thing I think, man, as far as like elements of manhood that are missing, and this is something, man, that I learned later in life, and to be honest, still incorporating more of it in my life. I think when it comes to us being taught about what it means to be a man and what that looks like, I think a lot of men have been led down the wrong road of the importance of work-life balance. Let me say it like this: to be honest, the lack of work-life balance. Like I believe work-life balance has been pushed so far on a man that is really hindered us. Because I'll say this, man, as a single father, man, me having my son, me spending time with my son, me doing certain things, cooking for him, doing a lot of times I felt like, and I want to say this the right way, man, and I believe any single parent can relate to this, both men and women. Like when a person is a single parent, by default, instead of me roaming around in full masculinity, the fact that his mother is not in his household, parts of femininity have to come out. I have to create a world for him that's harmonious, right?
Nurturing.
But what I understood later in life, and later with my son living with me, is like, to be the truest example for my son, it's about my output. It's not as much as be sitting there having one-on-one FaceTime conversations with him and talking all this stuff. It's about, what am I doing? Because he's watching everything. And I don't need my son to see me in his face all the time and not producing. He needs to say, you know what? I see Pops out there working. I see Pops out there moving mountains. That's what he needs to see. So even when you have households where men are on the road driving trucks for 3 weeks out of the month, and a lot of women are saying, oh, well, you need to be in your kid's life and all this stuff. You have to understand what a kid is seeing. Like, because even when I think about the time I spent with my father, I can't really remember in 12 years of life a lot of face conversations. I can remember 1 or 2 solid nuggets, but what I remember is him whooping life's ass in certain things. I remember the acts he did. I remember the mountains he moved. I remember the churches he built. You know what I mean? So I believe we've been, that whole work-life balance is healthy, but I don't think a man is really supposed to have. I mean, I'm gonna say it like this. There was a point in time where I had work-life balance, but the more my purpose takes over me, the more it goes away. Mm-hmm. The more it goes away. So I'm really calling this place home. What I think a man should do is just make sure that the time he spends with his wife, the time he spends with his kids is valuable. It's valuable, man. One of the highlights of my day, man, is going up there playing PlayStation with my son. In that 1 hour time, everything about me is his. We're laughing, we're talking noise, we're competing. But when I get out that game, I gotta get back on the battlefield. And I think a lot of men try to balance it so much that they suppress that part that's really supposed to be running inside of them, man. So I think that's just another element that a lot of men are missing. I see brother DA said if you put your purpose in shaky foundation, it's gonna all fall apart. And y'all said that a second ago. Let me give a shout out real quick, man, to all the brothers in the power circle, man. Shout out to brother DA. Shout out to brother Conquer. Shout out to brother James Cameron coaching. Shout out to I think brother Marlowe and anybody I missed, man. If anybody isn't in the circle, man, you have to understand what you're missing out. And I'll say this real quick. One thing that I didn't understand about the circle until we were probably 6 months in, which was a couple of years ago now. As a man, I think a lot of us are just put in this lone wolf place. We might have friends, we might have associates, but in general, we're just flying solo, right? What you don't understand as a man is really where you're flying when you're flying solo. Like you might be thinking you're flying high above the trees. You 30,000 feet, right? Because it's just you. You have nobody to compare it to. But when you put yourself in a circle of men, it's like, oh, snap. I see where I really am. I see brothers that are in the gym every day, like, oh, snap. I see that I got work to do. I see brothers, man, that have healthy relationships. It's like, I got work to do, man. I see brothers that are getting the bag, starting businesses, starting channels, doing these things. Until a man is in a circle of brothers that are moving, he can't really see where he is, man. And it's not about putting yourself in a spirit of competition. It's about iron sharpening iron. Mm-hmm. It's about iron sharpening iron. And when you get in a circle like the power circle, man, the beautiful thing I like about it, man, is like, and Travis, you hit this on the head a second ago when you said ego. Once you cross that threshold, there is no ego. Mm-hmm. There is no ego. You have men in there, man, that are 20 years old, 21 years old, trying to figure it out. You have men in there, man, that are world-class producers working with the M&Ms and all this stuff of the world. You have basketball trainers in there, man, that are working with pro NBA players. You know what I'm saying? You have guys in there that are starting businesses. You have guys in there, man, that are just now going into college trying to figure life out. You got guys that been in there that been married for 20 years. You got guys in there that hey, I'm having a problem with women. But when we cross that threshold, it's one body of men. Mm-hmm. It's almost like bringing the universal mind of God down to earth, and we can get in a room and chop. Mm-hmm. Like there would be like the soul that I've converted to over the last year and a half. There's no way in the world that version of myself would exist without my brothers in the circle. There's no way in the world. There's no way in the world, man, that having conversations like this, me and Brother Travis or Brother Evan might get on the phone and be texting back and forth, or, you know, and it's like, man, I'm a better man because of that. And for the longest, I shut that down, man. So again, today is the last day to get in the power circle at the current rate. The rate will be going from $49.97 to $79.97 in the next 12 hours to be exact. So if you're interested in the power circle, man, I'll leave a link down there. I believe I've already left the link, and definitely get into the circle, brothers. Get into the circle. I want to talk about this real quick.
So before you get into that, man, I gotta give a shout out to the power circle, bro. I got to, because it honestly, no cap, being in the power circle has dramatically changed my life. You know, this channel, we wouldn't even have started this whole thing if it wasn't for being a part of the circle. You know, it's like I told you, it's like we live in the same state. The odds of us meeting were probably pretty low. It's just like, if it wasn't for us hopping in there and actually start, you know, getting on there and talking and engaging and being part of this. I've had some of the deepest conversations that had some of the most, honestly, some of the most impactful moments I've had in my entire life in the circle. Being, you know, it's like that trip to Arizona, life-changing. Absolutely, where we all went to the circle. I did not come back the same man. Just honest. I didn't. It made me shake off that man, that husk of that man I was, and really start stepping into the man I want to be. So if you are even hesitating at all about getting into the circle, man, dude, I don't care. To be honest, man, if it's your last $50, spend it. I'm just gonna be real about it, because you will change your life being a part of this group. It's that important. Like, honestly, you know, it's.
I would say not just being a part, being active in the group. You could, because you say it all the time. You don't want to be a half truther. Statements like that alone will be like, well, what do you mean? You know what I mean? It starts to figure. You have to figure out who you actually are going to be after you join, because listen, not everybody's doing the same thing, but that's the benefit of it. You can now get to see different versions of yourself in these people who you interact with. I wouldn't have started. I did 3 YouTube channels before we landed on Warrior's Way Home, just because Soul was like, this is a thing you can do. And then it's a constant evolutionary process where you're starting to figure out, okay, is YouTube for me? Do I actually want to be a CEO? Do I want to just keep freelancing, or do I want to just stick with the 9 to 5? You have to put yourself in that environment so that you can figure out, am I really about it? Do I have the will to recreate a new version of myself that I already can see, but maybe I don't know the steps to get there? You know what I'm saying? And when you're active, you have no choice but to, like you said, iron sharpens iron, but it's not because the iron is just sitting there. It's getting pressed in the fire. It's getting treated. It's getting tended to and forged. You know what I mean? Like, perfect example, while I was a part of the circle, I had a friend that just went pro with fighting, you know, getting into big tournaments and fights and stuff like that. I had to be a part of his training camp. I have no desire to go pro. I barely fight as an amateur, but I do like the testing of myself in those type of arenas. I lost 40 pounds just being on the same program as him. And we didn't have not the same goals or anything like that, but it's just being active in that relationship, that realm, because he needed me and I needed him. So he gets to have a training partner that understands where he's trying to go, and I get the benefit of gaining all these skills just because I was in the same vicinity. So you can't just join a thing; you have to be active in it. Is what I would like to add to that.
Man, having said that, man, I want to take a 45-second break, and when we come back, man, I want to talk about again missing elements and how it applies to relationships today, or how it applies to women. So y'all ponder on that, man. We're gonna take a 45-second break.
Sure.
Thing number 7 that men do to ruin their lives is that they don't keep a brotherhood of like-minded men around them. They don't have a band of brothers. They are not part of a tribe. The thing that men do that really ruins their life is that they live like an island. You act like a lone wolf. You are not meant to be a lone wolf. You are not meant to be an island. You are meant to find like-minded dudes who share your core values. Because if you're like, dude, these are my core values, these are my non-negotiables, this is how I roll in life. I'm an extreme, unreasonable, impatient motherfucker that wants to make a lot of money, be fit and jacked, be self-actualized and self-disciplined, and do a lot of good for humanity. And I find other dudes like that to connect with. That's my tribe. That's my band of brothers. That is the brotherhood that I belong to.
Hey, just real quick, man, before we start wrapping up, man, I really want to talk about, I'll get y'all's take on like maybe missing elements of masculinity or manhood as it applies to the women of today. And I think this is a good question to ask because y'all are definitely in two dynamics. Travis is a highly desired bachelor in these streets, while Edmund, man, is a solid married man, a husband, father. Congrats on the one on the way too, brother. So what do y'all think? And we can start with either one of y'all, man. What do y'all think? I'll say is the cause for whether it's a lot of single men that are bachelors that are having issues with women. Like, what is that missing element? Or what do y'all think that missing element in relationships are that has women filing for divorce over, out of control? What do y'all think the missing elements are pertaining to relationships and women?
Well, as a guy in these streets, honestly, man, if the realest thing I realized was the way I was moving in the past in relationships was as a man lost. I think once again, a lot of guys are out here trying to fill that void. Not just, with relationships, with sex, with, all these different things like that. I think I've realized that once I realized what my purpose was and who I was first, and then what my purpose was, the women that I look back at, and no shade against them, they were amazing women. They all taught me something. I had great relationships with them. A lot of them I probably wouldn't have dated now.
Growth.
It's I'm just gonna real like because I'm looking for something different. Not because they're, not better, not as good as they were or anything like that, but because of the thing I'm looking for now. And I've heard you say it multiple times, it's so specific now that a lot of them wouldn't even be on my radar. And like I said, and no shade. That's so if any of you guys are watching, man, love you, man. It's just amazing. But it wouldn't have been on my radar because that's not what I would have been looking for. That's not the thing that I'm searching for now. It's like now, and I think I told you this before. I really know what it means to need a helpmate now, to need someone to bring somebody into your life, not to complete your life because your life's already complete, but to add to it. I'm not looking for that 50% to my 50%. I'm looking for that 100 to my 100. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm already rolling in my life. That's, my life will be complete. Whether she shows up or not, my life will be complete. It's like, but now I have I have a purpose that I can add her to, that I can, bring her on with. And before I didn't have that. And it caused chaos in my relationships because I didn't know where the hell I'm going to go. If how can you be a leader in your relationship, in your family, for your kids, if you don't know where the hell you're going? Where are you leading them to? Right off the damn cliff.
Mm-hmm. Facts. And I want to go to you, Brother Edmund. But before I come to you and ask you that same question, I want to read this statement that the Gift of the Gab put. He said, men today get complacent and comfortable when they're committed. They stop growing and challenging themselves to get better. This is a fact. This is a fact because, and I've been guilty of this. If a man getting in a relationship and automatically starts taking the energy he's supposed to give, to purpose in God, and takes more than the fair share and starts pouring into happy wife, happy life, man. I believe that's a fact, brother Gift of the Gab. So I want to ask you this, brother Edmund. Being having a beautiful wife in your life, man, having a newborn baby on the way. What elements of manhood do you think a man should maintain, You know, coming from being a single bachelor like Travis and locking the door so the women can't get in type energy to going to a loving husband. What elements should a man maintain or keep to make sure that side of life stays structured, man?
Man, he has to stay focused. First and foremost, he has to. Sorry, one sec. He has to stay a level of focus that is hard in general. You have to, if you are lucky enough to have your mission already set out, if you already decided where you're going to go, who you're going to be, what you're going to do, you have to hold on to that, because a woman, whether it's her purpose or her desire, she will try to take you off of that. She'll try to get you to do things that are against it. And it's not even her fault. It's not even really about her. She's testing you naturally to be like, are you going to do, you're happy now.
You about that life.
Are you about that life? Can you be happy and about that life at the same time? So there's a clarity and a focus that we have to have, because there, like we said, there's a big part of you that is about service to your family, to those immediate people. But it was something that you said, Soul, that kind of put me back on path, because you said it was God, mission, you, then family, friends, and all that other stuff. And it's like, wow, even at my highest, even at my zenith, I'm still not the most important person in this process. So then, and if a lot of women said that they want a man of God or a man of purpose, don't you understand that then you also have to come below that? So it's really, oh my God, you react like that, it may sound bad, but but it is but even because I wasn't as regimented as I'm trying to be now, or that I am now, even seeing that shift in, I didn't know how I wanted my wedding to go. I didn't know where I wanted to live. When I knew I wanted to leave Ohio, I didn't know where I wanted to go. I just knew I would not be here. And so having somebody who had a bit more clarity and some insight definitely helped me. A woman will help you get that clarity, but it's kind of up to you at the rate or the tone at which she does that. Because if you're just sitting on your ass all day eating Cheetos and watching anime, then she's gonna be like, all right, what are we doing? But if you're actually about something and you're trying to start a business, those questions become a lot more soft. Well, why don't you try something this way? Maybe we could do it this way. And she'll put herself in it. She'll be like, well, why don't we do a thing? Which means she's now a part of that process, as long as she knows where you're going. So the clarity and the focus and the drive, because like you said, the car, the whips, the job, even the family aren't the ultimate goal. Those are things that help you keep that motivation to the mission that you're ultimately trying to get. It may not be $1 million. It may not be to have a property on every island in the Galapagos. It'll be something as simple as, I just want my peace and I want to be happy. I want to have harmony. You still have to fit the rest of life in that. What does that mean to you? How does that fit in your bucket? So I didn't get the ultimate clarity that I have now until about a year and a half ago, around the time of like when I joined the circle. Maybe it was 2 years now. Time goes by so fast. I feel like I stumbled into the circle because I was like, I got all this knowledge now. I don't know what to do with my hands. So,
you know what, brother? I saw a picture the other day in my Canva of you. I think I was making a thumbnail for you. I didn't even recognize you, man. You look so different than you did 10 years ago. Like your energy is different. Your weight, everything is different. I said, that's it. I said, man, brother, you've evolved. Both of y'all brothers have evolved. That's why I'm so proud of y'all, man. Like I don't, we get in the circle, we meet every week, we talk. Y'all brothers are growing, all of us are growing. I don't think a lot of us have taken 5 minutes and say, you know what, let me just turn back and look at my old self. Brothers, man, we have evolved into different beings. And I'll be honest, y'all two brothers are just now scratching the surface. I don't think y'all even scratched the surface yet. Y'all are just planting y'all feet on the rock. Y'all haven't even started scratching yet. Y'all are gonna do big things, man. Y'all are gonna do huge things, huge things. We're gonna be looking at this 6 months from now, a year from now, a year and a half, 2 years from now, looking back like, dang, man, like you said, time is passing. Look at we're having these retreats now. We're having these masterminds now that y'all are putting on, bro. So I'm proud of y'all, man. I love what y'all are doing, man. And glad to have y'all on the show. Shout out to Heavenly Buttercups. I just started following her page, man. She's a very, very intuitive young lady. She said, we have to let men lead, but have to respect you first. I think that's a huge element, because I think when a man goes from a highly desired bachelor like Travis to going to a, having a beautiful wife, beautiful family like Brother Edmund, I think a lot of things that men don't take into account is the value of that woman. Like, okay, yeah, it's nice to have something on your shoulder, something nice to rub, all that stuff somebody do. But man, when a man understands what a woman is supposed, like the spiritual element of a woman, and understanding that, hey, you know what, I'm not just conquering everything. Like, your input is not only desired and important, it's needed. Like, I need your input, because I'm living life in full motion. I'm only looking at 30 degrees, 33 degrees of the whole 360. I need somebody watching the rest of it while I'm laser focused. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's a benefit along with a million other benefits, man. But I want to wrap up, man. I asked every single person I go live with.
I had a real quick question.
Sure, please.
As the single guy in the room, I heard your description, and so you and I have talked. Where would you say that, like, hard boundaries play a role in relationships? Because when you're on your purpose and you're going, there's gonna be times when you got to say no.
That's a hard.
There's gonna be times where it's like you talked about, where it's gonna be like, and that's one thing that if I can say, if there's any part of being in a relationship that I worry about, is how laser focused I get on what I'm working on what I'm doing. Like with this, is like when I'm editing, or when we're doing something with the business things, like I get obsessive with things. Now that I'm on my purpose, I get obsessive with them. And there's a piece of me that's like, how is that going to work with the relationship, where it's like, hey, I want to go do this. Like, nah, I'm focused on this right now.
Yeah.
Is like, how do those hard boundaries with your purpose play into your relationship? Does that mean, is that a conversation that needs to be had like right at the beginning? Be like, hey, because I've joked with with ladies that my wife who I know, I'd be like, I was like, hey man, she's gonna have, the first thing I'm gonna tell her is be like, hey, and this is me joking, you're gonna be number 2, and you got to be okay with that.
I'll give my 2 cents on it, bro. This is my 2 cents on it, man. Like, I think the way it's supposed to be, I think like that laser focus you're talking about, I think a man should have that laser focus in life, period. Have that laser focus. And I don't think a man should even bring a woman on his team until he's so focused where he's saying, you know what? Like, dang, I'm maxed out. Yeah. I need a helpmate now.
Yep.
Like the moment until I said I needed a helpmate in life, I didn't really understand the value of a woman. I was going so hard. I was like, man, it's so much to do. Like, business partners and all that stuff. And it was like, oh, snap. If I had a woman in my life that could help me tackle these things, she would have purpose now. She instead of her just being over there being pretty and want to shop and it's like if I'm bringing you on because of this angle I'm taking in life, then everything about us is going to be about this angle I'm taking in life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think one of the hardest things is to bring a woman in a man's life and she's somewhere else. Her objective in life is something else. Like, so I think what you hit on the head. When a man is so laser focused, if he doesn't bring a woman in until that point, I believe he won't have to draw a line in the sand, because she'll come in understanding the mission, which means if I'm sitting there on this computer for 3 or 4 days and we can't talk, whether you live in a different state or whether we're married and you live in a different room, you understand, because when you came in, mission was already on point. I wasn't sitting here lollygagging, going to the crib, going to the club, and then found myself and now I'm focused, and now you don't understand, and now we're 2 different people. It's like, no, when you put first step on this ship, it was already headed to Bahamas. Like, that's where we're going. So if it takes me 3-4 days a week of being in certain motion, then you already know what it is. It's my 2 cents.
Definitely appreciate that, man.
So I got lucky. I will give every man a cheat code right now as to how you can bring a woman onto your team when you already have your mission. She already has to have hers. If you have a woman that has goals for herself and can kind of see what she wants to contribute to the world, if you can make it link up, if you can make it match a little bit, it makes everything a little bit easier. Because my wife is in financial services. She had already expressed that she wanted to help people who didn't have money knowledge to figure out how they're going to be able to make it to retirement and actually retire. So it was a no-brainer where I was like, well, I also don't have that information. So how can you help me? By being able to interact with her in a way where, what's your goals? Who are you? Where are you going? What is your truth? And being able to figure it out from there. Because if you're just kind of meeting people at clubs and things like that, it's like our mission was to get drunk tonight. Like our mission was to have a good time and maybe not talk in the morning. But if you have the blessing to have a woman that already kind of has something about herself kind of going on and a mission that she wants to be a part of, she'll also like be checking you, because if you don't want to be a part of what she got going on, she might tell you to scoot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I wish you would.
For real. No, it's
I get you.
But it's, if you have a woman that already has something that she wants to do and you can help her and she can help you and you can help her, that's really the hack of it. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have the absolute clarity, but she knew I had the drive and the ethic to kind of go, and she knew whatever I was gonna put my hands on, I was gonna be good. The only problem was I didn't know what to put my hands on. So once I had that, of course you're gonna get the, oh, well, I want to go out to dinner, or I want to do this thing, and let's just chill. And why don't you sit down? Are you always busy? Baby, if
why
I wasn't
home,
if I wasn't why are you not home?
Yeah.
Coming in from the gym at 11 o'clock at night and she's already asleep. You know what I mean? But she gets it, because if I stopped doing those things, she know that I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be able to sit still if I wasn't.
It's like, what's wrong?
You know what I'm saying?
What's wrong with you?
I've gotten that before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, we haven't been training for 3 hours, 4 days in a week. Are you okay?
You sick?
You sick? You know what I mean? She'll notice that other side of you is not as preferred as the man that you are when you're on mission.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah. Did you ask her what she brings to the table?
No, because she walked the table.
So I want to ask y'all a question, man, before we wrap up, man. And I'm gonna start with you, brother Travis. And I know y'all brothers have an organization, man. And well, first off, before I even ask these questions, man, tell me about Warriors Way Home. Tell me about what y'all have going on. Tell me about the experience that a man will have just by interacting y'all content. In other words, what's your cause and what's your solution to a lot of the things we've been talking about?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, so we actually super happy about this, man. We actually went ahead and fully formed out our company, so we now officially have a fully fleshed out company now. So we're gonna be doing some big things here moving forward. Mm-hmm. Man, our overall arching mission is to help men expand into the men they want to be. Is the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. That's number one. When we are making our products and we're looking at doing events, it's all focused on helping, guiding men into becoming that warrior. And we talk about, we always say, fight your fight. Mm-hmm. It's like, and a lot of people think that's, just about, martial arts and about fighting. It's not, I actually got fight your fight when I was having a conversation with a client of mine. We were doing some kickboxing, and I was telling him, I said, man, he was a taller guy and kept dropping down to my level. I said, do not come down to my level. I said, you need to stay here. I said, fight your fight. I said, right now you're fighting mine. I said, you're mimicking me. You're letting me control the dynamic. I said, this is supposed to be your fight. It's like, just like in life, and we got into a deeper conversation. It's like, just like in life, you need to fight your fight. Yes, you take bits and pieces from different places, like, from our channel, from Soul's channel, from, Conquer, from a lot of the guys in Circle, or different places where they meet. But you take that and you put it into your life and you move the way you want to move. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not about how I move. I don't expect Edmund to move like me. Mm-hmm. And if he expects me to move like him, he's gonna be greatly disappointed. It's about learning how to fight your own fight and becoming your own man, the best version of yourself. Not, the high value man that's spending, that's dating 30 women or driving the Lamborghini. I don't care if you drive a 1998 Honda Civic. I don't care. If that's what you want to do, and you're becoming the best version of yourself while you're doing that, because you don't want to spend money on this, but you're spending money building schools in Africa, or you're doing this, or changing the medical world, or changing men's lives, whatever it may be for you, fight your fight. Mm-hmm. It's not about the hands, it's about the moves we make as men. And our goal is to help men, one, figure out who they are. Because like I said, that's the biggest foundation. It's like, who are you? It's like not what the world tells you to be, not what your mom told you were, not what your dad told you weren't or you were. It's like, who are you? Who you want to be?
Facts.
And then figure that out, and then building from there and helping them become honorable, having them have honorable masculinity is the biggest thing.
Facts. And I believe that's an amazing thing, man, for a brother to enter y'all's world of Warriors Way Home and watching your content, watching your Instagram. That's a beautiful thing. And like I said, y'all haven't even begun scratching the surface yet. So I want to break it down. That's a good mission statement for the company. I want to ask y'all individually, and I'm gonna start with you, brother Edmund. Who are you and where are you going?
Man, I feel like man was put here to be his most supreme self, and try to eliminate that ego as much as possible, but understand that it's still useful as a tool when he's interacting with the world. So it's not about me, it's about we. It's about who I can help. It's about who I can touch. And where I'm going is, man, I just want to place the keys of freedom in as many people's hands as I can with the time I have left on this earth.
Man, amazing. What's that you, brother Travis? Who are you and where are you going, brother?
Man, I'm here to light up the darkness. It's like I'm here to help men and people who find themselves in that dark place, in that darkness, in the darkest parts of their life, and be able to just bring a piece of light to that, just to show them that there is hope, there is a way out of this. You don't have to stay in the darkness. It may feel like it's impossible right now. It may feel like it's impossible to overcome the challenges you have right now. It may feel like it's impossible to do things you say you want to do, that you've never seen it happen successfully in your life. But if you know that it's possible, it completely changes the dynamic of your life. And I just want to show people, I want to help people come out of that darkness and show them that it's possible. Just to give them a piece of hope.
I love it, man.
That they can hold on to and build off of.
I love it, man. And I'm gonna ask y'all this final question, and I'm gonna start with you, brother Travis. Give me one person, whether alive or passed away, that meant the most to you, that had the most impact on who you are today, and why they're the person.
Man, I would say somebody it's been hitting me lately, that I miss deeply, is my cousin. But he was a truck driver. He was just a crazy bastard, to be honest with you. He's prior military and everything like that. But he probably, out of every guy I had in my life up to that point, I learned the most from him just by osmosis of how a man is supposed to move in this world. And
sorry, take time, brother.
Yeah. So, he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot just by watching and listening to his stories, the things he expected from me. There was an expectation that I never had set for me. That
expectation is huge, bro.
Yeah. I wish he could be here right now to see. So,
take time, brother.
To see this, to see, what we got going on right now. I think he would be so hyped. He'd be talking a lot of shit to me, but he'd be so hyped.
Nice, bro.
And I feel like I'm actually making him proud.
You are?
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Appreciate sharing that, brother.
Yeah.
I can tell the impact he's had on you, bro. Because I've been able to see the last portion of your evolution, and it's like, bro, if you just keep on this trajectory, man, you're gonna do huge things, bro. So thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
What say you, brother Edmund? Who's that person, alive or not here, man, that had the most impact, that had the most development on your character, man, and why that person, brother?
So I have a bit of a more unorthodox answer, but it's somebody has passed now. I could say my dad. I could say good mentor friends, but honestly, it's the old me. I appreciate that there was a version of me that, oh shit. Look what you did. So I have an appreciation for the old me that decided that where I wasn't enough. And that there was a version of me that was better and achievable, which is that key word, man. It's achievable. Mm-hmm. The first time I went to a Muay Thai gym, I remember walking up them steps and talking to the coach and was like, "Hey, I wanna learn something." And he was like, asked me what my weight was, and I told him. He was like, "Yeah, heavyweights don't last long." That was 11, 12 years ago, maybe more. I've lost count, but the version of me that was like, "Nah, this is not optimal. This is not who you are. You can do better, and it's about time that you get off your ass and do something about it." So, and a lot of us hold on to an old version of ourselves, thinking that that's the true us. It's not. The true you is who you pursue, or who you are on the way to whatever you think that goal is, that mountaintop. But it's by the time you end that journey, you're not who you were at the beginning, but that first step is the most important. So, yeah.
I love it, man.
The old me.
I love it, bro. And appreciate both of y'all brothers sharing that, man. If there's a man that's looking for that warrior's way home, man, or trying to tap back into that warrior mindset, where can he find y'all, man?
So you can find us at Warrior's Way Home on YouTube. Also, it's the same on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. The Facebook group is going crazy right now, so we definitely appreciate that. There's constant growth. We are looking to do more initiatives as well, so be on the lookout just for upcoming news, man. Because now that we're an actual established business, it's only up from here, and I promise you, the next 6 months will not look like the last. So we are heavily moving. You can find our podcast anywhere where podcasts are held: Spotify, Apple Music. YouTube, of course, is everywhere. Just Warrior's Way Home, easy way to find us.
Again, man, thank y'all for carving time out on a Saturday afternoon, man, to chop with your brother, man. And I want to say this, and if I could say it 1,000,000 times, it wouldn't be enough. I'm extremely proud of y'all brothers. I'm extremely proud that I'll be able to look forward in a year, 5 years, 10 years, and say, you know what? Like I was there when they first started, man. I was there when they were putting the first stone, in this mountain they built, man. I can't say that enough, man. And y'all haven't even begun to scratch the surface, man. So I'm just glad to be a part of y'all's growth. And closing out, man, anybody that, again, interested in joining the Power Circle, now is a good time to be in the Power Circle. Now is a good time to join. You have about 11 hours and 28 minutes to join at the current rate. I'll put the link in the chat. I'll have the link in the follow-up after this video, as well as all the links to follow these phenomenal brothers on their journey and their pages, man. Thanks to everybody for joining. And for that, y'all have a good Saturday, and we'll close it out. See y'all next time.
Thing number 7 that men do to ruin their lives is that they don't keep a brotherhood of like-minded men around them. They don't have a band of brothers. They are not part of a tribe. The thing that men do that really ruins their life is that they live like an island. You act like a lone wolf. You are not meant to be a lone wolf. You are not meant to be an island. You are meant to find like-minded dudes who share your core values. Because if you're like, dude, these are my core values, these are my non-negotiables, this is how I roll in life. I'm an extreme, unreasonable, impatient motherfucker that wants to make a lot of money, be fit and jacked, be self-actualized and self-disciplined, and do a lot of good for humanity. And I find other dudes like that to connect with. That's my tribe. That's my band of brothers. That is the brotherhood that I belong to.